I start this? You may have noticed a video gone up on my channel, if you watch my channel, and you're not just from the recommended page or a search. You may have noticed on my channel a photography portfolio, which I haven't really talked about photography. I haven't really talked about photography on my channel at all, really. I mostly do video games and survival stuff. But I thought I'd do a video for those of you out there who are starting on photography, specifically my kind of photography, street photography, which is very popular right now, on how to get set up. Because people will be like, oh, cameras are so expensive, you know, I can't, and they are. Any camera you buy is going to be, unless it's one of these, every camera you buy is going to be expensive. If you buy a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, it's going to cost over £100, at least. You can get a Lumix G52 for like whatever it's called. James Popsis talks about it. It's a small camera with an interchangeable lens. I think it cost him like 52 quid, which is a very good deal. But most DSLRs are going to cost you. Most DSLRs and mirrorless cameras are going to cost you over £100, which isn't too bad, considering you can get some for £100. But then the lenses are expensive. So, you know, people are like, how do I start photography? I don't know how to start photography. The lenses are expensive. Blah blah blah. I'm here to show you that you can get a setup for less than £500. Maybe £500 at the most. And it all starts with this camera here. Canon EOS 100D. This is a fantastic beginner camera. This is probably my favorite DSLR. I've used a few, but this is probably my favorite one, just because on MPB it costs £124 to £174. MPB.com, .com I think. It costs £174 for the most expensive one, and that's with a shutter count of 5,000. This has done 10,000 and so far hasn't needed a service yet. Fingers crossed. It's 18 megapixels. It's got 9 autofocus points. It's got face detection autofocus on the live view mode. It has got all your buttons and whistles. It's got AV, M, TV, P, which means shutter priority, aperture priority, ISO priority. I think is P. I never use P. And M for fully manual. It's got macro mode. It's got landscape mode. It's got sports mode. It's got portrait mode. It's got HDR mode. It's got no flash mode. It's got auto setting mode. So if you're a complete beginner, it's got everything you need. It even does video. For £174, it's an amazing camera. It's got a built-in shutter, interchangeable lens, of course. It's got a depth of focus check mode. It's got some hidden features like mirror lockup, and back button autofocus. It's basically your professional DSLR, like a professional DSLR, slightly nerfed, basically. Instead of being, say, 32 megapixels with 45 autofocus points, it's 9 autofocus points, 18 megapixels. 18 megapixels will get, 12 megapixels, I say, would be the minimum of what you need for most photography these days, for blowing up to like A3. So it's brilliant. I love it. Not just because it's my camera, but I've used other cameras, and I think if this thing breaks, I'm just going to buy another one, because they're £174, so I can just whatever. There are testaments of people who live in Arizona and Iceland who have used these in minus 20 and plus 40 degrees, and the battery runs out quicker in the cold, definitely, but the batteries are cheap, so just buy more batteries if you live in a cold place. They are really cheap batteries. I think they're about £17 compared to other batteries, which you can run up to £40-50 for some batteries. It's got obviously it's got a tripod mount. It's got a HDMI out. It takes a microphone. It takes an external shutter button. Takes an external shutter button. The buttons on it are fantastic. It's got right here. You can control everything with one hand. There are two buttons on the other side, and that's for menu and info, which you never use. Everything you control with one hand, which is normal for DSLR, but not normal for, say, a bridge camera, which sometimes has buttons over here. This has been mistaken for a bridge camera before. People have said, "Is that a bridge camera?" And I've been like, "No, it's a DSLR." It weighs, I feel, it weighs about 300 grams, basically, 300, 400 grams without a lens on it. It's fantastic. So you want to get, if you're really just starting out, get yourself EOS 100D. I think they call it Rebel T1i or something like that, or a KISS 1 in Japan. Just have to Google that. Now for lenses, you say, okay, yeah, the camera's 174 pounds. It's a cheap body because it's a beginner body. It's all plastic, blah blah blah. What do I do for lenses? I want to start street photography. All these lenses, these good lenses are all, you know, all these 1.4, 1.2 lenses. They're all 900 quid, $900 plus. It's ridiculous. So what do I do? Okay, Canon have thought of this, and they've come out with two incredible lenses for £150 each. You've got the 24mm and the 50mm. Now on the crop sensor of the EOS 100D, this is a 40mm and an 80mm. So what do I do with a 40mm and 80mm? Okay, this is for like multiple people. This is for like one person. This is a bokeh machine. Okay, this thing creates some really good bokeh. I've got a picture I can show you right now. Okay, that bokeh is wonderful, and it comes from this lens here, this 50mm lens. It comes from that. The bokeh is beautiful. Not so much bokeh on the 24mm, but it's sharp as anything. This is sharper than this. The 24mm is probably the sharpest lens you can buy for like under £300. I've heard not just me say that, but other people have said that, so I trust them. For £300, you get two sets of lenses. I know they're primes, and you're gonna have to. There's no chance of you being like, oh, a shot. I need to take this quick shot, and I need to switch my lens out. You know, you can't really do that when you've got someone walking towards you and you need a wider lens because, say, they're in a group of people, or you know, you want to get a good shot of them close up, but a bit wider. You can't really do that. You walk around with a 50mm on and get good people shots. You walk around with a 24mm on, you can get nice group shots or architecture shots. You know those pictures of people take where they're over the heads of people and there's like a crowd of people and like it's all blurry and it's kind of tilt shifted. This is really good at that. This is fantastic for portraiture. I'll put some portraits up now. Those are some portraits I've taken. Very good, very nice. If you are really just starting out, I mean really, really don't want to spend any money, you could probably spend about £250 and get yourself a Canon EOS 100D with the 18 to 55mm. The only problem is there's no background blur, and it's very, very, very high aperture. High aperture, yeah. It's 3.5 to 5.6, which to me does, living in the north of England in the winter, is no good. You need the 1.8, you need the 2.8, otherwise you're going to be using high ISO, and the one thing that camera's not good at is anything above 1600. 3200 is usable, 6400, no. It does up to 25,600, which is completely useless. But if you really want to, get yourself one of these and you'll be fine. But for street photography, the 24mm and the 50mm, 40mm, 80mm equivalent is is perfect for me. I can get fantastic portraits with the 50mm, fantastic group shots with the 24mm. The 24mm is f2.8, the 50mm is f1.8. I think they both go down to f22, so if you're doing, long exposures and you haven't got any ND filters, they're fine for that. They focus alright. In low light, they're not very good. Like, inside a house without any lights on is basically the limit. Inside a house, in the middle of the day, in a room with one window, I basically say a hallway where there's no windows but the light's coming in from another room. If you were trying to focus in a hallway, not very good. At night, completely useless autofocus. You have to manual focus, but you're not going to be. I mean, once you know your focus, you focus it all the way. Once you know focus zones and all that, you'd be fine. So yeah, that's a beginner setup for me. That's what I consider fantastic. I hope I've not. If you need a bag, one of these, you can find these on eBay for like £5. It's just a Miranda camera bag. I got this from a charity shop for £3. It will fit the camera with no lens on, just the body. The lens closed, fine. And that's got a belt strap. It's got detachable loops, everything. So yeah, just if you're thinking of starting out street photography and you live in the UK, I don't know how much they are in America or other countries, but under £500, 500 to £600 maximum, you can get a good street photography setup going. I know that is a lot of money. That's not a lot of money compared to. I'm saying it's not a lot of money because it's not a lot of money compared to, say, a Canon, an R6 or whatever, or a Sony A7 IV, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. Those really expensive ones. Those or a Leica M8, M11, whatever. Them really expensive ones. It's cheap compared to that, but compared to, say, wanting to eat for a week, or wanting to go on holiday, or wanting to pay your gas bill this year, it's expensive, but it's worth it. If you really want to start out, 500 quid, get it squirreled away, you can definitely start doing street photography. And the landscape capabilities of the 24mm f2.8, the landscape capabilities are fantastic. It's incredibly sharp. You stop it down to f4, incredibly sharp. You can zoom in and it's just tack sharp. Is there anything else to say? The 24mm is not great at f2.8 if you don't like fringing, or the lens correction, chromatic aberration fringing, and vignetting is not great. But if you use lens correction on Lightroom, which is again money, £10 a month, who wants to pay that? But if you use Lightroom, lens corrections will sort that right out. You'll be fine. The 50mm is great, and if you want to go further and go into sort of longer distance street photography, where you may be 20 meters away from someone and you want to get a picture of them, the Canon 75 to 300mm is about £200 on MPB. You could probably get it cheap on eBay, but it won't have been tested. So I don't have that. I have a broken Tamron 70 to 300mm. I cannot recommend this lens because it broke on me after 2 years. The Tamron 70 to 300mm, I cannot recommend it. The autofocus went. It no longer stops down the aperture at all. You have to keep it wide open. The autofocus went. It's gritty. I don't know. I've never used it in sand or anything, and it's somehow gritty. I think you can hear that. It's kind of gritty. But yeah, if you wanna start out street photography, you could spend about £500 and really get somewhere. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next survival vid, I guess, because that's what I'm going to do next.